Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Walsh, your host of the Empowerography podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Leisse Wilcox, with me. She is a coach, a writer, a professional human, and a professional speaker. Welcome, Leisse, to the show. I'm very happy to have you on. I hope you're having a good day so far. How's everything going today?
It's going really well. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me today. So let's just jump right in, I guess.
Yeah.
So what were you doing before you became a professional human, speaker, writer, and coach?
Dreaming of becoming a professional human speaker and writer and coach. My path to this moment has been kind of circuitous and kind of interesting. Just before I really got serious about this as a career path, I was a stay-at-home mom with my 3 little girls.
Okay.
And I started my career in Montessori education. So I've gone through this really interesting arc from being in education to wanting to focus on adult education. I did a lot of parent lectures and a lot of parent education workshops. Because I was at home with 3 little girls, I had 3 kids in 2 years. So I had a set of twins in there as well. And I had all this information about childhood and families and development in my head, and I really needed an outlet for it. So that turned into a parenting column that I would write for a newspaper.
Okay.
And the column turned into a blog, and learning how to promote the blog, got me really comfortable with social media and Instagram in particular. And so I started, creating all this stuff for Instagram, and then after a divorce, et cetera, just all of these pieces fell into the right place where very naturally and very organically, a coaching, speaking, writing practice really evolved on its own.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. That's quite the journey.
Yeah. That's a good word for it.
What's that?
That's a good word for it.
Journey? Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all on our own journeys, right? So what got you excited about starting your own business? What was it that amped you up that just, I have to do this. This is my mission in life. This is my journey. This is my path.
I think that any entrepreneur will relate to the feeling that you either are or you aren't.
Right.
So I don't really even feel like I made a conscious decision to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm really going to do this. It just kept happening. So I think I didn't feel like this earlier in my life, but I feel like I really am a natural entrepreneur. And I always had a real challenge with separating work from personal lives. When I was teaching, I really struggled with the notion that I would have to be somebody at work and be somebody else in my life. That never felt right to me. And so I think those 2 factors really combined into this one powerhouse storm of I just want, it sounds so arrogant and it sounds so flighty, but it's true. I just want to get paid to be myself. I want to capitalize on everything that I do naturally and that I do well, which happens to be very, very good for the world and really good for empowering people in a really natural way. I just want to get paid to do that because it's all I want to talk about. It's all I want to engage in. And I really now have this pretty awesome work-life blend that's been created.
That's amazing. Yeah. When you live, when you eat, breathe, sleep, what you're doing, that that this is it. This is what I'm meant for. This is what I'm meant to do. It's an incredible feeling.
It really is.
When that moment strikes you. Now, speaking of that, was there a particular moment in your life where it just, I guess it must have happened while you were a teacher, but what was there a definitive moment that you said, okay, this is it. I have to do this now?
Yes, I think so. So as I said, I was a stay-at-home mom. Then we had a divorce, and it was overnight I needed to create a career for myself. It was holy crap. I need to get so real about bringing in an income. Right. And it honestly happened overnight. So a friend of mine and I, she was closing down her retail store where we live. And both of us really wanted to focus on Instagram. We were both really good at it. She was really good at sales and merchandising. And so we collaborated, and our intention was to really just work with female entrepreneurs and hijack their Instagram accounts. So I would do the photography.
Hijack it.
Yeah. And this is before anybody was doing it, right?
Right.
People were very heavy into Facebook, and like nobody saw Instagram coming. And we were like, to toot our own horns, we were really like forward thinking.
Yeah.
We were like, no, Instagram is so much better. And so we were just going to do all the photography, do all the copywriting, and she was going to handle all the sales stuff. And so what happened, like we were busy. We were fully booked with clients. And in every single meeting that we took, our client would talk to my business partner about, again, sales, merchandising, strategies for packaging and for shipping.
Yeah.
And they inevitably would turn to me and say things like, man, my husband thinks this is just a hobby, and I'm determined to prove to him, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Or things like, I grew up thinking I was never creative, and my parents were really determined that I, follow one career path, and it never felt like the right thing for me. So I really want to use this as my moment to prove that this is who I am. So I naturally developed this very intimate coaching relationship with women. So as I said, we were really busy. We were fully booked. We both had all kinds of like limiting beliefs with respect to money and worthiness. We also had 6 kids under 6 between us.
Wow.
So I know. So we weren't charging enough, and we were so busy that it became too much, and we decided to shut that down and kind of quit while we were ahead. And then it wasn't very long after, maybe it was just a year after. Now I had all this time to focus on my own blog again, and my own writing, and my own Instagram. And I really treated Instagram like a mini blog so that people had better access to it every day.
Right.
And in that time, I started getting messages for people who were like, hey, would you ever consider coaching me? And I think, to answer that in a really long way, that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this so naturally anyway. I'm just going to start doing this like for real. And even that has taken me a couple of years to get very comfortable in being like, I'm really good at this. Like I have a great message and an excellent perspective, and I can actually help people affect change in their own lives in a way they probably haven't experienced before.
That's amazing. It's funny that how other people in our lives project this limit or project these limits onto us.
Yes.
And it really prohibits us. Like it's almost like it's mentally crippling sometimes that, you fall into that and you start believing what everyone is telling you. And it's very hard to overcome that. You have to be very strong-willed, strong-minded, and just, I guess, surround yourself with the right people that will help you deal and get past that and say, hey, wait a minute. I am good enough to do this. I can do this. If I put my mind to it, I can do it.
Well, it's so layered because so much of that comes from people. I really do believe in the good in people. I think that genuinely comes from a place of wanting to protect our family, our friends. Like we don't want anybody we love to experience pain. Right. And so I think it happens really organically that we're like, you should probably temper your expectations of playing in the NBA because the odds are stacked against you, right? But you're right. In doing so, we start to take on everybody else's expectations of us and everybody else's vision and opinion of what is possible for us. So the flip side to that is and this is like what I work on almost exclusively, is getting so clear in what it is that you want, not that what anybody else wants for you, but what you specifically want. And then developing this confidence in who you are as a person and your ability to deliver on that clarity. And then digging really deep into all the emotional stuff and the subconscious stuff and finding the courage to actually stay true to both that clarity and that confidence. And what people don't realize so often is that A, that is totally possible. And B, it is wrought with loss. It means you do have to tune people out. You do have to cut people out of your life that don't support your vision. And it hurts. Like you can't necessarily do what you want to do and be who you want to be and still please everybody else around you. So there's this like bizarro paradox of being able to get what you want and also being very comfortable with the choices that you're making and the comfort in a lot of cases that you're losing in a lot of other areas.
And to add to that too, I don't think people realize what a long journey that is either.
Totally.
Because it's not easy. And it's not a quick fix. Working on yourself and getting out of that mindset that people have put into your head repeatedly and beat it into you. Now, again, that's not true with everybody. There are a lot of people who also get the support and from right out of the gate. But I think more often than not, people, like you said, want to protect our friends and our family from being hurt and rejection and loss and all that goes along with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very tough battle. So it's a thin line to walk.
Yeah. And that's why you have to be so comfortable in what is right for you. And, you know, I could talk about this ad nauseum too, but we spend so much of our lives learning how to doubt ourselves and learning how to tune out our own intuition and stop listening to our own inner guides.
Yeah.
And instead listen to what everybody else is saying. So there's this like process that has to be undone where you really do, as I say, you have to learn how to tune everybody else out and only act in accordance with what feels right for you. And that is a long process. If you're not familiar with it, or if you're not comfortable with it, that is a skill and a muscle that you have to really develop.
I guess you constantly, daily, you've got to flex that muscle and work on it constantly.
Definitely.
So with you being a coach, then you're constantly giving advice and helping people. So let's flip the tables. What is the best advice you have ever received from someone, or a couple pieces of advice, not necessarily one, but if you've got a couple that you've ever received from someone?
One of the most life-changing pieces of advice I've ever been given. I was in my late 20s and somebody just looked at me and said, "You alone are enough." And at the time it made me really uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do with that information. And I replayed it in my head over and over again. I was like, well, she's obviously wrong. She doesn't know the real me, like all kinds of imposter stuff, all kinds of stuff. And, almost 10 years later, that really stands out as this catalyst of having that seed planted for me for the first time in my life. And now having been able to really follow and explore what that would mean and really come into, my own self as a woman, as a person, with that exact premise.
Okay, let's keep with the theme of advice. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, whether it be about life or business or anything else, what would that piece of advice be?
That you're so much more capable than you've ever imagined, than anybody has ever told you.
I love it. That's great. That's amazing. So what do you think is your unique skill set or superpower? Is what is that has helped you become successful and get to where you are today?
I think I have an unusually high ability to observe the human experience, understand it, process it, empathize with it, support it, and do all of that in this way that allows people to move forward with it. I read into everything in a healthy way. I read into everything, and I'm constantly, making comments to myself, thinking like, "Oh, that's so interesting. Like, maybe this isn't a challenge. Maybe this is an opportunity to heal, or this is an invitation to get further insight on what needs to happen." I'm so fascinated by the human experience and how there's this like human condition that we seldom talk about unless we're in a philosophy class, but we each have, 9 out of 10 times, we each have the same feelings and a very similar experience and exist in a state where we feel completely isolated from everybody else. And we pile on all this shame because we're like, oh my gosh, I am the only person who doesn't have this figured out. I'm the only person who's ever felt loneliness. I'm the only person who's never really felt like I'm going to become something. And like the irony is that everybody is feeling like that. There's like this amazing kind of melancholy that like connects us as people, but we ignore it. And it's like, it's a part of our programming or something. Anyway, one of my strengths is to really observe that in a healthy way, detach from it, process it, and really teach people how to feel comfortable with those uncomfortable feelings and make them work for them and really like transform them from being something uncomfortable and ugly to something really beautiful and purposeful.
Use them to their advantage.
Yeah. And
Just
I call
flip
that
them.
exactly. For me, that's a process that I call emotional alchemy, that you really take what has been dark or heavy or really weighing on you, and you find a way to repurpose it to really make it your own and something that's transformative and really special.
I love it. That's awesome. So how would you define success? What does the word success mean to you?
That's a great question. I think that it's so unique to each person. I think that we live in this very weird world where success has only been defined in a really narrow way, like with a really narrow definition that, it's very heavily defined by the number of zeros that you're earning in a year.
Right.
And there better be multiple, like there got to be so many of them. And, a freedom lifestyle where you can just go and travel and live on yachts and go to the parties and just like do anything you want to do at any time. And for me, I think that, again, going back to this human experience, so many of us really want this very simple, organic life where we feel loved, we do love, and we feel like our daily life is what we want it to be. That to me is success, feeling comfortable and at peace in your own life, in your own everything, in your own body, in your own relationships, just feeling so at ease with where you are and what you're doing. I don't think it gets better than that.
I love that, because I think society has put such pressure on us to, as you said, the number of zeros dictate how successful you are and what you have. The world's become very materialistic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because that doesn't make you, just because you have, if you're making 6-7 figures, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy in life.
No.
And it's sad that people actually believe that.
Yeah. And there's, are you familiar with this concept of decision fatigue? And
No.
like, there's like a paradox of choice.
Okay.
And I love the best example is that, let's say you go to the store to buy shampoo, and let's say you go to like a drugstore to buy this, right? You walk into the store and you are confronted with a wall of choice. Maybe not so much as a man, but men get like 3-in-1 products and you're in, you're out. For women, like you have nothing but choice in front of you. And so suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, do I want the one that preserves my natural color? Do I want to enhance a natural wave? Wait, do I have dry or damaged hair? I don't know. And it's like you have so much choice in front of you that you're almost paralyzed by it. You can't make a decision because you have too much to choose from. And I really think there is a push in the way that we consume content, in the way that we react, in the way that we connect with people. We're starting to get that real paradox in our own life. It's like you can literally be anything. And that is so overwhelming to so many people, because it's like, well, I better not mess this up. Like I better choose the right thing at the right time and live a perfect life. And it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that. You really have to, again, get so clear on what your values are, and then have the courage to act in accordance and live in accordance with those values, that you are supporting your own needs, regardless of what anybody else is trying to superimpose onto you.
Right. So yes, that's great advice for life. But like you said, when you walk into the drugstore, and as an example, and you have that wall of shampoos or whatever the case may be, you're overwhelmed. So how are we to deal with that in that moment? I guess, I don't know, is it that if you get that comfortable and you figure it out for your life, then this trickles down into everything else and makes all these other decisions easier? Or
Yes, because you become so self-aware and so you value so much more what is important to you, that you don't even need to get distracted by all the shiny things around you, Instagram feed, whatever it is on the drugstore shelf. It doesn't matter. You are so aware of what you as the individual needs that you're able to almost put up your own blinders and focus on what helps you meet your needs and helps you get to where you're going, how you want to feel.
Okay. What would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win in life?
My kids are pretty special. I would say that's like a big one. They're really special people, and it's just such a pleasure that, I don't know, I get to be with them. I just love them so much. That's a big win for me. Professionally, there is nothing like the feeling of, having a conversation with somebody who feeds back something like, oh, you just put to words exactly what I was feeling and haven't been able to articulate. When I speak on a stage and I can go from being a stranger in a room to feeling like I have made legit connections with so many people in a big audience, it really does feel like I'm high. Like, it's such an amazing feeling knowing that I can be that kind of catalyst for change in people's lives. And I don't think I will ever, ever tire of that feeling.
No, it's an incredible feeling because I can somewhat relate with the photography and the boudoir genre. When I do a session with a woman and the empowerment that woman feels during the shoot and how incredible she feels and the self-confidence just radiating out of her. And then when we get to the image reveal later on after the shoot and the emotions, and sometimes I've had clients cry and thank me, and there is no feeling like it. That right there, that feeling epitomizes why I do what I do.
I love that.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
We have this like burning desire for connection, right? And we all find a number of different ways to achieve that connection. That's such a good example of it, that like, you are almost literally holding up a mirror for women. Like, you're actually shooting them through the lens that other people see them through.
Yes.
And shining that back to them, and really in that moment creating such a solid connection that they'll never forget. Like, that's what I'm talking about. We have these moments in our lives where it's like, oh my gosh, it just changes something. It shifts something, and you can't unring that bell, right?
Exactly.
So being the person who is like ringing the bell for them is pretty spectacular. It
is. It's an incredible feeling when you can help someone feel that way and see themselves, their true self, through what you do for them, whether it be you with your coaching or me behind the camera with a lens and creating that art with that person. There's no feeling in the world like it. None. You can't even really put it into words.
Yeah, I know.
It's incredible. If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Oh, 100% it would be freezing time. Like, I always imagine that I have this like press pause button where I can just press pause, freezes around me. I have time to like digest and process, reflect, and make a decision, and then press play again and pick up where we left off.
That'd be pretty incredible.
It would.
That'd be very cool. Speaking of heroes or superpowers, who are your personal heroes and why do you hold them in such high regard?
My aunt is one of my favorite humans in the world. I think I would put her up there. I don't know. I don't know that I like idolize anybody in that way. I have a lot of respect for people who are living in accordance with their own truth and really being themselves and feeling confident in being themselves and really just having that courage to show up in the way that works for them, independent of what anybody else is trying to get them to do. I think that's just, it's what I do for a living, but it's like, it's such a special quality, and people who are doing it, I just have so much respect for.
Yeah, I think in today's society, once again, we are putting people up on pedestals that just, there's no reason for it. There's no need for that kind of thing. No one human is better than the other.
Yeah. I love Barack Obama. I think that he would fall into that category as somebody like just this incredible leader and a very real person who has made tough decisions, who's done the work and just shows up as himself. That's my impression of him.
Right. Now, you had said you have 3 daughters. How old are your kids?
9, 7, and 7.
9, 7, and
7.
So what do you do to empower your children, especially being women? I mean, not that boys don't need empowerment. Of course, boys need empowerment as well. But what do you do for your girls specifically?
So we have a really special little family, and we have a really special dynamic. It's I think if I had to like sum it up in one word, it's communication.
Okay.
Since they were babies, like infants, have made it just so clear that I'm here for them, that I'm always interested in what they have to say, that they can tell me anything, and I will always support them through it, no matter how difficult that decision. And, you know, when your kids are young, like in their 4, 5, 6, 7 years, when they're coming to you with that kind of a concern, it's a pretty small concern, right? It's like, well, I did have an extra cookie, or I don't know, I spilled, whatever it is. It's like a very small problem.
Right.
But how we respond in that moment is really establishing a pattern, and is really building trust or not. And so I think that one of my greatest strengths as their mom is just to be so open to, this is a safe space. You are safe to tell me anything. You are safe to be who you are, and you'll never be judged or punished for that.
Right.
And anytime there is a problem, we will solve it together, and I will give you the skills to solve it for yourself. And I will still be right here beside you if you need me to take it one step further with you. And this, interestingly, is where I was a Montessori teacher, and all of that is so Montessori in nature that I had this like real hands-on experience getting ready for parenting before I became
right. Well, I mean, doing that too, I think it's starting at such a young age, it just sets the precedent for later on in their teen years, when those problems like I took an extra cookie turn into other things and more important things in life. And it sets that tone that, hey, you can come to me anytime with anything. And communication is so important. I find that a lot of families don't have that with their kids, and I think that's horrible. Yeah. It's such a sad thing. I mean, I have 2 girls, 18 and 20. Our 18-year-old actually just moved out of the house last week. We took her to university, but we had always set that tone with the girls that, you know, you can come to us about absolutely anything, and you don't have to worry. Stay here, and we'll help you through whatever it is that you're dealing with.
You know, when I was in the classroom, I use this analogy a lot, that parenting in the early years is like cooking great Mexican food. You're always preparing something today that you're going to enjoy tomorrow, right? And parenting, it's like this slow concept that follows that almost to a T, that all of those patterns that we're laying in those early years absolutely establishes the lines of what will be the case later on. And, you know, giving your kids that freedom to make decisions and learn from their consequences in a healthy way when they're young already has taught their brains to maybe not make that decision later on, because they know what it felt like to deal with the natural consequences earlier, right? Versus letting kids do whatever they want, or constantly solving their problems for them, or whatever it is. I just feel like having that really healthy, empowering, hands-on, open dialogue with your kids just prepares them for all kinds of good.
Yeah, open lines of communication, always. I
mean, that is really, when we want to get really reductionist about it, that's every relationship in our lives.
Yes.
Everything is so communication dependent, and most of us have not been supported in having healthy communication in any relationship. So, you know, add kids, add marriage, add whatever, there are just so many layers of trying to undo unhealthy or toxic patterns of communication that, I mean, if nothing else, you get that chance to start fresh with your kids and really lay that, or like use that as a baseline for all communication in all relationships.
Absolutely. Well, you're setting the tone for them in their life as well, to say, hey, look, this worked for me as a kid and growing up, so I've got to implement this in my life with the people that I encounter, and if I happen to have kids, and lay the foundation, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And none of us, this is another fallacy. Like nobody is perfect. There's
Nope.
not one perfect state that we get to. We are designed to make mistakes, learn from them, and try again. So holding that space for our children and being like, yes, you did make a mistake, and here's how we solve it. Here's how we deal with it. There's no judgment. There's no unfair consequence. It's just like, this is a part of our lives. You're going to make a mistake again. Like, it's not like you're never going to do this again.
Exactly.
You're going to keep failing throughout your life. And I feel like learning that pattern of, I can make a mistake and I'm still a valuable, worthy person is another incredible lesson to learn.
As long as you learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of, since again, I mean, children, what kind of environment in your home do you create in order to promote body positivity and confidence in the kids?
It's very natural. I was just thinking about this the other day because it's never been, like, I suppose it's conscious, but it hasn't really felt conscious. This just is a very body positive environment. When and you'll know this too, especially for girls, there tends to be a real focus early on, even as babies, like, oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, she's so perfect. Oh, what a princess. I never did that. Right. I never praised and my kids are beautiful. They're beautiful little girls. And I feel like I don't praise them for their beauty. I always make a conscious effort to talk about, their actions, their personality traits, their qualities. They love reading. And so it'll be like, oh, I love to hear and listen to you read. Man, it makes me so proud of you when you choose a book that you love. There's so many great things to praise about kids that have nothing to do with their looks or their bodies.
Yeah.
In terms of food, like, we focus so much on what are healthy choices versus what's an unhealthy choice, and how sometimes we make unhealthy choices anyway, and that's okay too. I just feel like it's such a grounded, peaceful, awesome environment in our house that
that's great. It's so important with kids.
It is.
I mean, women and girls and boys, it's important that you promote that and that they realize, especially in today's society of the magazine perfection culture, or whatever you want to call it. Kids get so bombarded, and we all get bombarded with images and sound bites and everything of perfection and perfect this and beautiful that. And I mean, it's overwhelming. It's ridiculous, but you've got to learn to tune out that noise and instill that in your children as well.
I think that I've been teaching my kids how to tune that out from the get-go as well, because that isn't a part of my world. I don't feel like I get bombarded by those messages because I've learned to just not consume them. And as somebody who spends a great deal of her time on Instagram for work, I don't feel that pressure because I have learned how to undo those old patterns that I used to follow or used to believe in. And I've really created a better and safer space for myself. So for my girls too, I think that, they don't have a lot of screen time. If we're watching TV or a movie, it's like something that's been kind of vetted by me, because I think that childhood is such a short and innocent time that it's really a job to preserve and protect it. So many people want to rush their kids through it, and they're like, let's watch this movie that I watched when I was a kid. And it's like, but that's not appropriate anymore. Like, let's just enjoy this childhood for what it is. And I think too, because of my own, background or just interests, marketing and advertising interests, I talk to the girls a lot about kind of seeing through the BS. So if we're watching something and there's like a specific brand of soda or chips in it, I'll pause it and be like, so tell me, who do you think sponsored this show? Or like, who do you think has a best?
I love that.
Yeah. And so I teach them like actually savvy marketing, and that's amazing because now they're just so aware of looking for reading in between the lines. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is for sure, because so many kids go through it just blind. I mean, there are parents who use media or TV or whatever as a babysitter. So it's refreshing to hear that parents are doing these types of things for their kids when they're young. It's so necessary.
It is. It is.
So what does the word empowerment mean to you?
Like I've ever stopped to define empowerment. I think for me, it's really the notion of being free, like being free of other people's expectations and really staying true to what feels good, what feels right, what feels authentic to you. And I feel like when you step into that and into that place of being able to make decisions, even if they're hard decisions, but making those decisions because it's the right thing for you to do, that is the only reason, that feels very empowering to me.
Excellent. That's a great answer. So we're going to get, if you don't mind, a little bit serious. Now, I know you've been through and dealt with breast cancer.
Yeah.
How has going through breast cancer, dealing with breast cancer, helped you to empower other women?
So when I first got, like, I share so much, right? And I don't think I'm an overshare, but I'm really keen to share the human experience, because I think when we name something, we really kind of strip away the unhealthy power, and we really do empower ourselves by naming it and allowing ourselves to feel it so that we can heal it and move through it. And still, when I got a breast cancer diagnosis like a little over a year ago, my first inclination was like, I wasn't going to tell anybody. I couldn't believe it. And that feeling in that moment, I was like, I can't share this with anybody. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I felt that way, but for some reason I felt so much shame about having this diagnosis. It was the weirdest feeling.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I kind of, again, saw that as an opportunity, as an invitation to heal and go deeper with that. And, pretty soon after was able to process and reflect, and it became very clear to me that I definitely needed to share that experience. And in doing so, in being so open about what that experience was like for me, I had a radical physical change when I lost my like beautiful long blonde wavy hair during chemo. And then I removed my breasts in a double mastectomy and stayed flat. Like, I've gone through a radical physical change. And sharing that process and documenting that process and really vocalizing, where the fears or what the fears were that I had, and where they came from. That was so empowering for me because I gave myself the space to name it and process it. And what I didn't fully appreciate at the time is that me putting words to those feelings and sharing them, I think liberated many, many other women, and not just specifically to cancer, but it brought up so many conversations about lovability, of body positivity, of self-acceptance. It was like, I don't know, I cracked into this next level conversation about what self-love really means and how to really love who you are without condition, and not in a memeable way, but in like a true human experience of what does it mean to come home to yourself and love who you are.
It all starts with self-love, right? Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't love yourself, how can you love anyone else?
Or let anybody else love you.
Exactly.
And I think that for me, it is even bigger than that. It's more than love. It's acceptance. It's
right.
That like, this is who I am, and I love her for being her exactly as she is. Not like, oh, I'll love her more when she does this. It's just like, nope, who I am in this moment is me, and that is enough.
I love that. That's so inspiring.
Thank
you.
You.
Incredible. So during the time when you were dealing with that, did you have anyone that you could go to and confide in? I mean, yes, you were very public about everything, but I would think that at a time like that, you would need
my superhero aunt.
Yeah, like
yes.
Okay, so you had your aunt. Okay.
Yeah, and almost I had a really, really good team of people, and that's another thing actually that the cancer experience did for me, was that it really taught me how to ask for help, how to ask for the right kind of help, and how to receive it. And that those three things do not always go together.
Right.
So that was a great experience because I got really clear and really good at asking the right people for the right kind of help. So, a couple of aunts, a couple of uncles, a couple of really close friends. I had a very good support team. My biggest emotional support was for sure my aunt. And I have this like very strong memory of, especially in the beginning where it was all so unknown, and I was fighting chemo so hard, and I was fighting surgery so hard. I was fighting the diagnosis so hard.
Yeah.
I have this memory of like going to an appointment, going back to the car, sitting in the car, phoning my aunt, crying, and then listening to aggressive hip hop on the way home. Like, I had to do that probably once a week, every other week, for like about 2 months. And it was just like this same pattern. And I remember then conversely, you know, after, gosh, I don't even remember when it was, but something shifted. And I felt like, between my family members, between my friends, I really had made the decision to go ahead with the right treatment for me, and felt so confident in it that I remember the next phone call to her was like tears of happiness, because I felt so secure in where I was. Yeah.
I think we as humans are scared to ask for help innately. I mean, we don't know how to ask for help. We're scared to ask for help. I think part of it for fear of rejection.
Totally.
And part of it not wanting to put other people out, not wanting to put our struggles or our issues onto other people. Yeah. But I think if you surround yourself with the right people, usually, more often than not, people are more than willing to help. All you have to do is open your mouth and ask.
Yeah, and you have to be so true with what you're asking for, right?
Yes.
There was a group of parents at our school who, as soon as they found out, you know, I live in a small town, so people found out pretty fast. But the principal called me and she was like, listen, I have this group of people who's contacted me and they really want to help you. What can we do? And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, if they could just make food, that would be amazing. I'll put it in the freezer that I won't have to worry about it. Great. And then I hung up the phone and I had this like color draining feeling of like, what have I done? The last thing that I want is a bunch of very well-intentioned, but still strangers preparing food and dropping it off at my house. And so I called the principal back and I was like, listen, I made a mistake. That will not actually be the right kind of help for us. Is there any way that they can come up with like a snow shoveling service instead?
Right.
And that was, again, that's one of those moments in my life that really stands out because I got so clear on what I actually needed and had the courage to ask for it. So the flip side is that those parents all wanted to do something that would make a difference in my life. Very, very genuinely. And so when I asked for what would make a difference in my life, we all won, right? I asked for the right kind of help. It was really unintrusive to my own life, very supportive. They handled it. They felt good about being able to support, you know, this single woman with 3 kids, and everybody won. And it was such a good experience for me to have that,
That had to be an incredible feeling. I mean, I'm sure at first it, like you said, when you got off the phone, it's like, oh my God, what like this, it must have taken you aback. And it's like, holy, like, where is this coming from? I don't know these people. And
totally,
it's gotta be overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that people do want to help, but very often we don't know how. And, you know, there's this weird dynamic that we feel when we need help. We don't really want to ask for it because, as you said, we don't want to put people out. We don't want to offend anybody. But really, people want to help us and they're just waiting for direction. And they don't want to offend. They don't want to intrude. They just want to support us. They just need a bit of direction. They're not taking offense to that. They're not judging you for that. They genuinely want to help you. And, you know, for each person to put in like $20 to handle a few months of snow shoveling, people, that's pretty fantastic.
It is. I mean, when you think of it, $20 is nothing. And if everyone looks at it like that, $20 from each adds up very quickly.
Yeah. And that's easier than going to the grocery store or making food from scratch or getting the right pant. Like that's actually easier. But anyway, it's just one of those examples that what do you really need? Okay, then find a way.
Well, I think too that people don't know what to say when they know someone's going through something as serious and terrible as breast cancer. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to act or how to react, or so it's tough on both sides. I mean, I don't know. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a right thing to say. I think that, again, I think it comes down to the human connection of it. You know, when other people are grieving, I have a really hard time knowing how to support them because it's so unique to what each person really needs, right? And so you really have to be so emotionally aware of tapping into what that person needs at that time too.
Very true.
And some people really want to talk about it. Some people want to gloss over it. And I think that we just have to constantly observe that. And also, anybody who's experienced any kind of grief or major trauma or loss in their life, that changes, because some days you're like, please don't talk to me. I don't even want to acknowledge that it exists.
Yeah.
Other times you're like, no, I really need to talk about this now, because now I feel like I'm invisible. So it really takes the right nuance of just being there to support your people through what they're going through.
Right. So what advice would you give to other women who are going through or dealing with breast cancer? What is a couple pieces of advice you would give them? I
think you got to break it down one step at a time. One of the great things, that might not be the right way to say this. One of the real great coping mechanisms was actually having to tell my children. And the process of telling my children made it so much more palatable for me. And that would be the advice that I would give to people experiencing anything like this. Because, if you say to yourself, oh my God, I have cancer, I'm going to lose my hair, my breasts, it's a potentially life-threatening illness, like this is good. It's this giant snowball. There's no way I was going to break it down like that and tell my kids all that, right? So instead, it was like, oh, girls, you have to be just really tender on mommy's left breast, because there's this weird lump and it's really sensitive. It just needs you to be tender. A couple of weeks later, oh, do you remember that tender spot? So it turns out it's a lump that I need to have removed. Great. Well, mommy's on the couch just resting a little bit, because remember that lump that I had? Well, it came out, I had surgery, and now I just need to heal.
Right.
Later, remember that lump I had removed? So that's something that's called cancer. And no problem, the doctors were able to get it out of me, and that's really good. Now, to make sure I never have that lump come back, I have to take a special medicine, and that's called chemotherapy.
Right.
Here's the challenge about chemotherapy. It does mean I'm going to lose my hair. We started to go through these really tiny pieces that were so palatable. And as I was explaining each step by step to the kids, one, it empowered them because they knew exactly what was happening for me. I wasn't hiding it for them. I was saying, I was very open. I was like, I might be sad. I might feel sad. I might seem stressed because I am thinking about this a lot. It kind of gave them permission to feel our feelings together.
Yeah.
But it also created this amazing dialogue that it was just one step at a time. We handled it one step at a time. And that made it totally not overwhelming.
And I'm sure it strengthened your bond with your girls too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's an incredible way to deal with it and tell the girls. I mean, that's amazing.
It was awesome. And then we had a head shaving party, because that's the other thing is that one of my biggest successes in handling cancer so well was that I really found a way to make it my own. I got to be careful with how I phrase this, but there is a real tendency and there is a real push to become victimized by something that happens unexpectedly, right?
Right.
And people get permission to do that because it's like, oh my God, this must be awful, you poor thing. And of course, nobody is wishing any kind of ailment or illness on anybody else.
No.
But when you're in that position, if you see yourself as a victim of something happening to you, you will continue to be disempowered by it. So for me, it was like, well, shit, despite my best efforts, this is happening. So how do I constantly choose to respond in a way that makes me feel like I have some semblance of control over my own life, over this process? So for me, I love beautiful things. And so the girls helped me. I knew I was going to have a ton of meds for chemo. So we went and I let them choose my med bag. So they chose this beautiful rose gold bag. We had all these little vials of medication that they put unicorn stickers on the lid. So instead of me being like, oh, I need to take 2 Dexy Mully Hydrones today, I'd be like, I need 2 unicorns.
Yeah,
I'd be like, exactly. Oh, easy. Who doesn't want to take the unicorn pill? So, things like that. All of my appointment papers, that's so overwhelming. You got to keep track of so much stuff and be your own advocate. I made sure that I had a really
involving the kids, I'm sure, in every step also helped.
It was
cope
awesome.
Too.
And then having that head shaving party, as I said, took something that could have been really, really intense. And even I really kind of looked cool with a shaved head, so it was actually fine. But it was amazing because we had close friends of mine, friends of downstairs. We made amazing snacks. We had cool music. And so even had that gone awry, they still would have had this safe space of being held by the people who love them.
Mm-hmm.
As it turned out, my kids sat and ate the special popcorn that we make. Well, my friend, shaved my head into a mullet, and we kind of took photos of that. And it ended up being this really happy, positive experience in our lives. And it was like, I was so afraid of that loss, and I was able to use that process of emotional alchemy and really flip it and make it my own and make it this like, oh my God, remember when we had all our friends over and shaved my head? Yeah, that was awesome. You kind of forget about like,
wow.
Oh my God. It's because I was about to go into 4 months of aggressive chemo. It's like, it's such, and that's empowering, right? Is making that experience your own and taking ownership of everything that happens in your life.
You are an incredible human being. The resolve and the positivity.
Yeah.
You are the absolute inspiration. It's incredible, Leisse. Absolutely incredible.
I really appreciate that.
I'm just wow. It's amazing. It really is. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm dead serious. It's incredible. It is very inspiring.
Thank you.
So what did you give up to get where you are today? And what did you have to sacrifice to get where you are professionally, personally?
I don't feel like I've had to make sacrifices professionally. I really don't.
Okay.
Divorce was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it was one of those things that like, I actually don't talk about divorce a lot because A, it's not just mine.
Right.
And B, it's also a lot of time it's still too painful. Like it's still too fresh. Divorce was the hardest decision I've ever made and the hardest experience I've ever gone through.
Wow.
And, way harder than cancer. Like cancer and chemo was a cakewalk compared to the emotional weight of divorce for me. And that like divorce was simultaneously like the hardest thing that I've ever done and also the most forward moving thing that I've ever done. It was, single-handedly the most loss incurring experience of my life and the experience that gave me the most connection to just a much, much smaller group of people. But yeah, divorce always stands out as the like, I don't ever want to feel that again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What is a passion of yours that you rarely share with people, and why not?
Okay, the silly answer is that I am passionate about how much I hate resealable packaging. And it's such a character.
That's an odd one.
It's so weird. I don't know. I'm capable of so much, except if there's like a resealable cracker bag, I like just cut it open because there's zero chance. The zipper always comes off on the one side. It just doesn't work. So that's out. And I really am passionate about how much I hate it because I think they're useless. Wow. But like the more real answer is I am fiercely passionate about education. And I think, we can call it coaching, we can call it speaking, we can call it writing, but really it's all education. And I think that's, I don't talk about it in those terms, but I am really, really passionate about helping people become informed and how we not only do that as adults, but how we really support and nurture our kids in their education from day one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you have one piece of advice you could give young women who want to, I guess, break out of, the working or just break out on their own, do something, be an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, be a strong, independent woman. Mm-hmm. Any one piece of advice you could give them? If you could only give them one, what would that be?
I wouldn't be able to give them one, so I'd have to give them two in a run-on sentence. How about that? Okay,
that's fine. That works.
One, be very,
or not just young women, but any women that are fearful for doing that.
Sure. You have to be very, very clear in why you are doing what you're doing. Very, very clear. A lot of people don't ask themselves that question, or they do ask themselves and they don't allow themselves to fully answer it. You have to know unequivocally why you are doing this, because when you're so clear on your why, then the what can transform a little. You have permission to fail at something and then go back to the drawing board and get clear on, wait, why am I doing this? Okay, then how do I figure out a way of making it work? And the second really important thing is that it takes time. It is slow. and steady. It isn't like nobody is an overnight success. If you see somebody as an overnight success, what you haven't seen is the 12 years they have been failing and trying again and like wanting it and sleeping and breathing it for 12 years before they become an overnight success. That is a myth. It just takes time.
Right. Okay. If there's one book that you could suggest to listeners or the audience listening today, what would that book be?
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Okay.
It's a fiction book, but it reads like a spiritual text. It's excellent.
Okay. All right. If you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would the last 30 seconds sound like?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea. I would need so much time to craft that, because it would have to end with like, I'd have to take it from a roller coaster of being really poignant to end with something like super punchy and funny that they didn't see coming.
Okay. A little too difficult to answer on the spot.
Yes.
All right, that's okay. What's that?
No, I just think that's...
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, that's okay. No, I just don't know how I would answer that. I would need some time to write that out.
Okay. Maybe we'll have you on again and you can answer that question.
Sure.
Next time. Okay, lastly, do you have any big projects you're currently working on or coming down the pike that you would like to share with the audience?
I just launched a podcast, and that's pretty exciting. It's called
Excellent.
To Call Myself
Can
Beloved.
You tell the people? Yep.
Yeah, To Call Myself Beloved, the podcast with Leisse Wilcox. I'm really excited about that because it's taking all these conversations I have in my daily life and just making them in a public forum, which is exciting. I think I'm going to launch some group coaching in the fall or winter, just as a way of giving more people access. I think that is happening. And personally, I'm in the process of selling my house and relocating to a new city. So that's really exciting too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I'll be posting the links to your podcast, your website, and all that stuff when I release your podcast interview. So people will be able to find you there.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so very much for taking the time. I mean, to talk to me and share and speak about all these things that are so personal to you with me and my audience. Appreciate it. And once again, my guest today has been Leisse Wilcox, mother of 3, writer, speaker, coach, and professional human. So thank you so much, Leisse, for taking the time. I appreciate it. It was great having you on as a guest.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hope you have a wonderful day.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.